Dragon Ball Super. I conquered Bardos with my cooking skills. Chapter 1. Suitor. He is a cook. He is also a cook who wakes up in Dragon Ball Super for no reason. Is it aggrieved? Suitor just feels quite numb. In the smoky kitchen. Dang dang dang. The sharp blade keeps cutting quickly on the chopping board. Suitor flips the knife expressionlessly and sends the cut vegetables to the drain basket on the side. Get the pan, heat the oil. All the movements are smooth. Flipping the big iron pan, Suitor stir-fries quickly. In less than 2 minutes, a plate of mouth-watering stir-fried pork with green peppers is ready. Xiaoji, send it out, don't let Vegeta wait impatiently. Suitor said, and walked to the chopping board again to start the next round of preparations. Okay, chef. That's right, the reason why Suitor is numb. The biggest reason is that he is still cooking at Bulma's house. Sun's mother opened the door for Sun, and Sun arrived home. After a busy period, Sutter squatted at the back door of the kitchen. He habitually held a cigarette in his mouth and looked at a young woman with short blue-green hair eating in the restaurant opposite. This is Sutter's employer, and the richest woman in the Dragon Ball world, Bulma. Alas, I have seen her for 3 years, but I can't get tired of it. And opposite her, there is a man who Sutter wants to ignore. The man has a cold face and is full of murderous aura. Although he is powerful, he still can't hide his obviously receding hairline. This is the man who eats the soft rice of Sutter's employer, Vegeta. Tui, why is it not him who sits and eats with Bulma? Even if he has a bad stomach, he can still eat soft rice. There is no way. He has no strength, no system, and no golden finger. He can only watch these protagonists and supporting roles of Dragon Ball from afar. Ding. Just as Sute habitually exhaled a long puff of smoke and crushed the cigarette butt under his feet. A strange voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Chef God System, start binding. Tisk. Sute stood up on his own, pretending to ignore the voice. He patted his clothes and wanted to leave work. System. Goldfinger. What's the use? He is in Dragon Ball, a Dragon Ball world where a planet can be blown away with one punch. What is the Chef God System? Is it a hammer to him? System binding. System binding is complete. The Chef God System will start to serve you soon. Host personal information is being confirmed, cooking skills have reached 10%, and Saiyan blood can be activated. Excuse me, do you want to activate it? Listening to the voice of the system, Sute paused for a moment, and then continued to walk towards the place where he punched in after get off work. Saiyan blood. Another chicken thing. To be precise, this is the Dragon Ball Super world. June 21, 778 AE, it has only been less than 2 months since Beerus woke up on Earth. What the hell, what is the Saiyan bloodline? Can't you give me a more awesome golden finger? Is there a golden finger that can kick the god of destruction, punch the angel, and pat the king of all? It seems that the host Cert can't reply for a long time, and the system starts to broadcast mechanically and coldly. The host has made more than 109,000 dishes so far, and an angel can be introduced to him. Hearing this, Cert's expressionless face finally showed a trace of emotion. He worked as a chef in Bulma's house for 3 years, and he actually made as many as 109,000 dishes. This Vegeta is more gluttonous than a pig. It's really evil capitalism to exploit a poor worker like him. Tui. Sutter cursed and didn't reply to the system, but returned to his staff room. Alas, after 3 years in the Dragon Ball world, he doesn't even have his own home. How lucky is he? Lying on the bed, he slowly tried to reply to the system in his mind. Activate Saiyan bloodline. Bloodline is starting to activate. Bloodline activation completed. Sutter sat up from the bed and found that there was not much change in his body. His facial features were still so handsome, his hair was still so elegant, and his figure was still so strong and well proportioned. Besides, he had a Saiyan tail and his jeans were torn. Hey, system, where is the angel you introduced? Suit fell back on the bed again, waiting for the second condition of the system to be met. Excuse me, host, which angel do you want to see? Well, of course it's Bardos, who is the strongest. Suit even without thinking, he named the name directly. Then, he thought for a moment and said, Makarita is not bad. Kes seems to be good too. Host, please confirm the angel you want to see, and then report to the system. Thank you for your cooperation. Sutter restrained the corners of his mouth and said affirmatively, It's Bardos. It's her. Swish. As Bardos finished speaking, he felt dizzy in an instant. Then, he appeared in a place with a decent view. Why didn't Bardos come to see him in his room? Instead, he came to Bardos. In front of him was a tall girl with a proud figure. She had long white hair tied in a high ponytail and had blue-green skin. She was wearing a green robe, white high heels, and a light blue halo around her neck. In her slender right hand, she was holding a long staff. If this girl wasn't Bardos, who else could she be? Who are you? Why did you suddenly come here? Bardos tilted her head slightly and looked at Surtur in surprise. Surprisingly, someone could avoid her perception and come to the destruction land of the sixth universe. Surtur did not answer immediately, but asked the system in his heart, Dog, is this an introduction? Is it too hasty? What if Bardos judges that he is not someone who should come to the destruction land and kills him directly? Host, have you seen Dragon Ball Super? Angels will not participate in good and evil, let alone kill you. Moreover, according to the judgment of the system, the existence that is dangerous to you is also the god of destruction, Shangpa. Also, my name is the god of cooking system, please do not use so-called insulting words to call me. Ignoring the last sentence of the system, Surtur turned his eyes to the rock lying next to him. The fat purple hairless cat who was scratching his face and talking in his sleep without any image. This fat cat is the so-called god of destruction, Shangpa, in the system. Dog, since you are a chef system, do you have a food library? Looking at the fat cat, Sute swallowed hard. Yes, this system has an inexhaustible supply of food. After these words came out, Sute's originally somewhat uneasy heart settled down. He smiled at the suspicious Bardos and said, Hello, I heard that you are looking for food everywhere. Yeah. Hearing that it was related to food, Bardos unexpectedly curled his lips and asked with a curious smile, Could it be that you know where the food is? Well, do you want to try the food? I want to. I'm thinking about it in my dreams. Before Bardos could speak, Shangpa, who was lying on the rock, suddenly turned over and sat up, drooling at the corners of his mouth, and shouted. Then I'll show you my skills. Sute ignored Shangpa and smiled at Bardos. He always likes to carry pots, pans, and utensils in the universal capsule, so he is not afraid of not having kitchen utensils. Even if there is none, the omnipotent angel should be able to conjure them, right? Bardos, I need a table. Thinking of this, Sute asked tentatively. Yes. Bardos nodded, waved the scepter in his hand, and a huge long table appeared in front of Sute. He also found that in addition to the long table, there were also several chairs. Hey, Bardos, who is this guy? Shangpa yawned sleepily, came to Bardos and asked. Before Bardos could answer, he saw that when Sute waved his hand, a full of ingredients appeared on the table. Wow, they all look delicious. Shangpa kept sniffing his nose and sat down at the table with his big belly. Smells so good, smells so good. Indeed, these things are all crisp and sweet. Bardos couldn't help but approach the table and took a tomato to smell it. If you want to eat it, you may have to wait. Surtur said, and started to get busy, arranging various kitchen utensils. Just when he showed the knife and wanted to take the vegetables, he found that Shangpa was already holding a cabbage and eating it raw. Crack. Crack. Ah. Are you hungry? Seeing that Bardos was also eating tomatoes in small bites, Surtur was a little confused. Ahem. Seemingly realizing that the way of eating was wrong, Bardos hid the tomatoes behind him and accused Shangpa. Master Shangpa, I'm asking you a question. What's wrong? Shangpa, with vegetable residue on the corners of his mouth, looked up at Bardos blankly. Wait a little longer, these things are not eaten like this. Sute said to Shangpa, but his eyes were always on Bardos. These things need to be processed before they can be eaten. Of course, the red fruits can be eaten directly. For example, Sute pulled out Bardos's hand hidden behind his back, and at the same time, sprinkled a little white sugar on the tomatoes. This way, the taste will be sweeter. Oh. Looking at the white crystals dotted on the red fruit, Bardos suddenly blushed. A closer look showed that this strange person was quite good-looking, much better looking than Master Shangpa. Moreover, he was very careful, considerate, and gentle. Host, you are taking advantage of the angel. As soon as Suit let go of Bardos's arm, the system's voice rang out. Sutter ignored him, picked up a whole cabbage from the table, put it on the chopping board and started to cut it. Do you still need to cut this thing to eat? Isn't it redundant? Looking at Sutter's actions, Champa looked at the cabbage in his hand, which had been gnawed beyond recognition, and asked. Suddenly, it felt inexplicably not delicious. This is called cabbage. There are many ways to eat it. You can boil, stir fry, and blanch it, but no one will choose to eat it raw like you do. While Sutter was busy, he glanced at Champa with disdain. Of course, there are people who eat it directly like this. For example, I know you and a pig. Pig. Who is that? Champa was very slow and didn't realize that Sutter's attitude towards him was very different from that of Bardos. He asked in bewilderment and in silence, who is that? When will you take me to see it? If it can eat the same way as me, I think it will definitely become my confidant and friend. Hey! Suit sneered and quickened his movements. His movements are so smooth that I find them pleasing to the eye. Bardos sighed as he watched Suit busy cutting vegetables and cooking. Champa also nodded, swallowing his saliva, smelling the fragrance, and urging Suit. Can we eat now? Is it ready? How long do we have to wait? Under Champa's urging, the 4 dishes and 1 soup cooked by Suit were already placed on the table. It's time to eat. As soon as the words fell, Champa couldn't wait to reach out and grab the bright red plate of mapo tofu on the table. The consequence of grabbing it with bare hands without chopsticks is that you can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. Hot. The fat cat's hands were fine, but his tongue was miserable. This. Bardos looked at the crying Champa, and then looked at Suitor with a mocking look on his face. How should she eat? Just as she confused and puzzled, Suitor picked up the long chopsticks and picked up a piece of tomato from the tomato scrambled eggs. He also blew away the hot air on it and handed it to Bardos's mouth. I'll feed you. Open your mouth. Bardos opened her cherry mouth and swallowed the tomato. It's delicious. Bardos couldn't help but reach out and touch her cheek, her eyes shining, exclaiming. Suitor continued, and this egg. This is also delicious. Hey, where's my uncle? Champa finally calmed down, walked to Bardos's side with his hands on his waist, and opened his mouth wide. This. Champa opened his mouth and pointed, signaling Suitor to feed quickly. Suit ignored him and continued to feed Bardos, saying with disdain, there are chopsticks on the table, pick them up yourself. Champa closed his bloody mouth and picked up the chopsticks with a curse. But the first time to pick up chopsticks. Oh, cat, how can it be so easy to pick up food? Asshole. I want to feed too. After several unsuccessful attempts, Champa threw down the chopsticks angrily and yelled at Suit. If you don't know how to use chopsticks, then use a spoon. While continuing to feed Bardos, Suit threw a disposable plastic spoon at Champa without even looking at it. Asshole. Looking at the warm and ambiguous atmosphere between the two, Champa carefully scooped up a piece of sweet and sour pork ribs and put it in his mouth. Is this meat? It's sweet. It's delicious. The next moment, Champa picked up the whole plate on the table and wanted to pour it into his mouth. Master Champa. Bardos swallowed the food in his mouth and stared at Champa with a sharp gaze. Feeling the cold murderous intent, Champa immediately backed off and continued to scoop with a plastic spoon. Don't just feed me, you should eat too. Bardos looked at Sut, who was still trying to feed her with food, and smiled. This person is so nice. It's okay, I'm used to eating these, it doesn't matter if I eat them later. Suit continued to pick up food for Bardos and smiled back. Before today, in the 3 years since he came to the Dragon Ball world, he had never dared to think about feeding Bardos. And now, the dream has come true, the opportunity has come, how can he easily miss it? The meal ended in the warm scene of Suit and Bardos, with Champa's eyes tearing up. It tastes so good. After Champa licked the plates clean one by one, he leaned back at the table and patted his big belly. I don't feel full at all. Suit ignored him and turned to look at Bardos, who also looked unsatisfied, and asked, would you like some fruit and dessert after the meal? Fruit. Dessert. Bardos' eyes sparkled and he nodded repeatedly. Right away. Suiti's mouth was raised. He was full of motivation to make delicious food for Bardos and see her satisfied look. Hey, are you discriminating against race or treating people based on gender? After waiting for a few unprocessed fruits, Shampa was dissatisfied. He pointed at the carefully carved fruits and the exquisite and cute pastries in front of Bardos, and cursed with his hands on his waist. Why are mine so ugly, and Bardos is so beautiful? Bardos didn't care about Shampa's noise at all, eating in small bites, and sighing from time to time. Ah, this is also delicious. You don't look good either, why do you ask for food to be more beautiful? Are you a member of the Appearance Association? Suit glanced at him and reached out to take back the fruits. If you ask so much, don't eat. No, no. Seeing this, Shampa hurriedly took a few fruits in his arms and quickly retreated. What a delicious food, and what fruits and cakes. Bardos's face was full of satisfaction and happiness. By the way, I still don't know your name. Suit. Suit smiled, put away the things on the table one by one, and introduced himself. I am a cook, a maker of delicious food. As soon as he said this, the system in his mind made a cold mocking sound. You are shameless to call yourself this. Without waiting for Suit to respond, the system began to broadcast on its own. Congratulations to the host, you have been recognized by Bardos and Shampa for your food, and your cooking skills have increased by 5%. This time the reward is one amount of God's combat power, which can transform into Super Saiyan form, Super 2 form, and Super 3 form. At the same time, because the tasters are angels and gods of destruction, the hidden level 1 god of destruction skill, level 1 ultra instinct, will be rewarded again. Sutter was shocked when he heard this, but he still chatted with Bardos without showing any emotion. With two minds at the same time, he asked the system in his mind, how much combat power is one amount? Hey, haven't you seen the host of Dragon Ball Super? One amount is not a specific amount of combat power, but a rough estimate of the combat power of God. For example, in terms of quantity, Super Saiyan God Goku has 6, Beerus has 10, and Whis has 15. Oh, what the hell is the hidden reward? According to the God combat power currently possessed by the host, one amount of God combat power is not enough to learn angels and gods of destruction. You can shut up now, it means that my strength is not enough and I am not qualified to learn, then you give me a ghost reward. Bah, useless system. I cooked a meal for angels and gods of destruction, but they only rewarded me with a useful amount of God combat power, plus the ability to transform to Super Saiyan 3. I can't even reach the realm of God. What a loss, a big loss. Shampa stared at Suitor who was chatting with Bardos, and muttered in a low voice, the maker of delicious food. It swallowed its saliva and said, if that's the case, you will make more food. Of course, a full banquet is no problem. Suitor tilted his head and said calmly. Hearing Suitor's words that were so sure, but he didn't quite understand them, Shampa stretched out his hand and shouted, very good. I've decided. From today on, you are the cook of this Universe 6, the Destroyer God realm, the Destroyer God, Shampa. Ha ha ha. From now on, I will have endless delicious food to eat. Looking at Shampa with his hands on his hips and laughing wildly, Suitor suddenly asked, why? Humph, just because it's your honor. Shampa also frowned. No. When I worked at the last company, I still got a salary. Suitor stood up with his hands on his hips and retorted. His hand was exposed, then he has the chance to bargain with Shampa. After eating his food, will Shampa be willing to go back to eating those garbage? It is easy to go from frugality to luxury, but it is difficult to go from luxury to frugality. Even if Shampa gets angry and loses his mind, don't forget that there is a teacher who supervises him, Bardos. Then, I will give you a salary too. Shampa saw that he couldn't force it, so he tried to soften his attitude. As soon as he said that, he turned his head to look at Bardos and asked, Bardos, what is the salary? I don't know. It should be some benefit. Bardos shrugged, and his eyes swept towards Suitor obscurely. Benefits. What benefits do you want? Shampa continued to look at Suitor and asked like negotiating. Let me think about it. Suitor pretended to think and asked the system in his heart. Dog, what good can I get from cooking for angels and gods of destruction? 100,000 dishes, you can introduce someone you want to see. At the same time, increase the hidden god combat points, destruction skill level, and ultra instinct level. Sutter knew about destruction skills, but the question was what was God combat power? It's God combat power. Beerus's God combat power is 10 points, and Son Goku's is 6 points. You haven't seen Dragon Ball Super, right? Host. Shut up. GOG, bye. Sutter collected his thoughts, looked at Champa expressionlessly, and asked, I want Super Dragon Ball. Super Dragon Ball. Champa didn't understand. It's the wishing star. I habitually call it the Super Dragon Ball. You're asking for too much. Champa took a step back and looked at him in shock. This strange human actually knew about the wishing star. Lord Champa, you are looking for wishing stars, isn't it just to wish for delicious food? Bardos glared at Champa with a straight face. This stupid guy, do you still want to eat delicious food in the future? You have eaten delicious food now. If you want to eat it all the time, then find all the wishing stars and let Sute make a wish. As he spoke, Bardos showed a trace of curiosity and looked at Sute and asked. Sute, what is your wish? This. Mainly want to live longer. You angels and destroyers can live for hundreds of millions of years, but I can only live for a few hundred years at most. Before Sute finished speaking, Champa had already shown a panicked expression. What? Hundreds of years, so short. Champa looked at the remaining apples on the table, his expression gradually becoming terrified. After eating them for hundreds of years, I will never be able to eat them again. How could I get tired of eating them in just a few hundred years? No, this is absolutely not possible. Champa said to himself, clenched his fist and shouted, I will find the wishing star immediately, now, immediately. Looking at Champa, who was more nervous than himself, Sute felt a little puzzled. Why did you suddenly get excited? Wow. Lord Champa is very stubborn about food. Bardos smiled, stretched out his hand to hold Sute's arm, and asked, your life is really short. But there is no need to worry. Even if you can't find the wishing star in a short time, I have plenty of ways to extend your life. If you can find the wishing star, then wish for immortality. Bardos said this, and Sute also felt her selfishness. It seems that this angel really likes his cooking skills. To conquer a woman, start by conquering her stomach. Hurry up, a few hundred years is just a blink of an eye. Champa saw Surt and Bardos holding hands for no apparent reason, and urged them anxiously. Don't be so anxious. Surt let Bardos pull him, and said to Champa. I have to go back and get something. 2 universes, aimlessly searching for Super Dragon Balls, is totally inefficient. In the search for Dragon Balls, it must be the genius woman, Bulma's Dragon Ball radar. Go back. Do you need me to take you? Seeing Bardos take the initiative to speak, Champa also said, of course, Bardos, you are the fastest. Sure, the Earth of the 7th universe. Surt smiled and pulled Bardos' hand with his backhand. Good guy, you are really good at running. Hearing that the place to go was actually the universe governed by Beerus, Champa was also surprised. Then, Mr. Champa, you stay here and wait for us to come back. After saying that, Bardos released an air shield and rushed into the sky with Surtur. Universe 7, Earth. As soon as he landed at Bulma's villa, Surtur saw Trunks and Pilaf playing ball in the courtyard. Hey, isn't this Surtur in the kitchen? Pilaf kicked the football out and asked Surtur. Is that blue big sister your girlfriend? Without waiting for Surtur to answer, Bardos asked curiously, girlfriend? Yes, she is my girlfriend. Surtur nodded and took Bardos to Bulma's laboratory. Hey, when did you get a girlfriend? Why don't you cook a table for us to eat? Ah, the dog Ash looked at the 2 people going away and yelled, you are so stingy. Girlfriend. Trunks let the football kick to his feet and looked at Xiaowu with a veiled look. Oh, I don't know if Xiaowu likes him or not. Girlfriend, do you mean I am your friend? Bardos followed behind Surtur and asked. Well, aren't we boyfriend and girlfriend? Surtur asked without feeling ashamed. Boyfriend and girlfriend, there is nothing wrong with that. Shameless, you are taking advantage again. The system mocked again. Friends. Bardos showed a gentle smile and nodded to Surtur. Yes, friends, boyfriend and girlfriend. Walking into the laboratory, Surtur looked at Bulma sitting at the table and asked bluntly. Bulma, can I trouble you for something? Oh, is it Surt? Bulma looked up at Bardos, who was holding her hand, and smiled knowingly, which all adults could understand. Are you going to take a leave to go on a date? Let me give you a salary forecast. Is 30,000 Sony enough? That's too much. His monthly salary is only 10,000 Sony. No, I want to trouble you to make me a Dragon Ball radar, the kind that can detect the entire universe. Cert directly stated his purpose. Also, I'm here to resign. Oh. This requires expanding the scope, which will take some time. Bulma nodded, and then asked in confusion, but why are you resigning? Vegeta likes your cooking, and even Trunks. If you think the salary is not high, I can give you a little more. No, I found my pursuit. Cert smiled at Bardos and held their hands tightly. He came to Dragon Ball because he was forced to be a cook, not just to be a cook. Is that so? Seeing this, Bulma had no idea, so she stopped trying to persuade Cert. Then I wish you happiness in advance. As she said that, Bulma took out a thick stack of envelopes containing Sony from the drawer. Here, it's for you, as a gift in the future. Okay. Cert was not polite, and directly accepted it with a smile. How long will it take to make the Super Dragon Ball radar? It will take most of the day. I suggest you go on a date first. Bulma smiled and winked at Cert. Okay. Cert shrugged and didn't intend to urge him, and turned to Bardos and said, come on, I'll take you around, there are many delicious snacks on this planet. Okay. Bardos smiled and agreed. Champa, the fat cat, had long been forgotten by these two people. From Chinese and Western food to Japanese and Korean food, Suitor took Bardos to the snack street. Careful Suitor found that Bardos seemed to prefer some desserts and snacks. Among them were the glutinous rice and sesame balls with their own characteristics. She also I like hot green tea very much. It's delicious, but it's a pity that it's not made by you. Bardos frowned slightly, not very satisfied with these delicacies. I always feel that it's missing something, some special taste. Is that so? Sutter smiled. That's natural, everything he made was full of love for Bardos. The system also boasted, of course it's because it lacks the unique ingredients produced by my system, tut tut. Then let's go back and borrow Bulma's kitchen. I'll make you what you like to eat. After thinking about it, Sutter planned to take Bardos back. It was getting dark. After Bardos had a satisfying dinner, half a day had passed. Okay, this is the Dragon Ball radar that can detect the entire universe. Bulma handed something slightly larger than the Dragon Ball radar to Sutter and asked curiously. By the way, what do you want this Dragon Ball radar for? Of course, to find the Dragon Balls. Cert raised his eyebrows and replied. Like the one on Namek. Bulma became more and more puzzled, frowning and muttering. In that case, there is no need to expand it to the entire universe. You will know later. Cert did not explain much, and smiled and pulled Bardos towards the courtyard. Come and play often when you are free. Seeing the two people leaving, Bulma also said politely. Who are they? Vegeta, who had just walked out of the gravity room, saw the two people flying away, and asked in confusion. Our former chef and his girlfriend. Bulma said and covered her nose in disgust. Hey, Vegeta, go take a shower quickly, you're full of sweat and stink. Quote. Tisk, you woman. Vegeta's forehead was bulging with veins, he yelled in dissatisfaction, and turned and left. The angel flew very fast. In less than half an hour, Cert and Bardos had returned to the destruction of Universe 6. Hey, why did you take so long? Seeing the two come back, Champa immediately touched his stomach and shouted at Cert, I'm almost starving. Isn't it still not starving? Cert rolled his eyes. Anyway, Lord Champa, you are so fat, just eat one less meal and you will lose weight. Bardos also teased Champa with a sly smile. Nonsense, I just came into contact with the delicious food made by Sute, I don't want to miss a meal. Champa was very angry, but still looked at Sute with a flattering smile. Hey, when are you going to make a meal? Bardos and I have already eaten, you can eat this meal. Sute threw the box of instant noodles in his hand to Champa. You can't eat it directly. Bardos also knew how stupid Champa was, took out a pot of boiling water, and explained while operating. You have to open the package like this, and then take out the seasoning packet. Yeah, wait for 3 minutes like this, and you can eat it. Champa nodded in agreement while watching Bardos operate. Yes, eat quickly, let's go find the wishing star. Bardos pushed the soaked instant noodles in front of Champa. Oh. Champa swallowed his saliva and kept looking at the sand falling in the hourglass next to him. Hurry up, I'm so hungry. How is it? There are 3 in the 7th universe, so are there the remaining 4 here. Bardos walked towards Cert, looked at the Super Dragon Ball radar in his hand, and asked. Indeed, there are 4 Super Dragon Balls here, and the closest one is in the east. Suit nodded and handed the Super Dragon Ball radar to Bardos. Then wait until Lord Champa finishes eating, and we will set off immediately. Bardos said, looking at Champa who was still waiting for the instant noodles to open. If she wasn't afraid of this guy making a fuss, she and Cert would go directly to find the Super Dragon Balls. Who? Hot. When the time came, Champa couldn't wait to eat the instant noodles, and he was sweating profusely. This time, he learned to be smart, listened carefully to Bardos's explanation, and knew to eat with a fork. Comfortable. After eating the instant noodles, Champa wiped the sweat from his forehead and said to Cert, give me some more later, so I can have some appetizers. Bardos and Cert looked at each other, speechless. The journey to find the Super Dragon Balls was very smooth. In the 6th universe, the 2 gods with the highest status are Bardos and Champa. In addition, these 2 people had been running around to find wishing stars and food before, so naturally many cosmic people knew them. The 4 Super Dragon Balls were successfully collected in no less than 3 hours under the display of the Super Dragon Ball radar. The 4 Dragon Balls were brought to the junction of the 6th and 7th universes. Cert, Bardos, and Champa continued to look for the remaining 3 Super Dragon Balls in the 7th universe. This time, the time consumed was even shorter, only 2 hours. Your Super Dragon Ball radar is really useful. Champa looked at the Super Dragon Ball radar in Sutei's hand, and then looked at the 7 Super Dragon Balls, and said sourly. He worked hard to find the Super Dragon Balls, which took so much time. But he didn't know that there was something in the universe that could detect the location of the Super Dragon Balls. Who made you so ignorant? Sutei smiled and poked Champa hard. Humph. Champa snorted in dissatisfaction. He looked at the Super Dragon Ball that was as huge as a planet and emitted a faint golden light, and said to Sutei with his hands on his waist. Hurry up, summon the Dragon of God quickly, and make a wish that you can live forever. It's better to wish for immortality, longevity, etc. Cert's strength is a bit weak. Bardos also echoed and urged Cert, hurry up, Cert. I don't know the word of God. Cert spread his hands and said helplessly. Ahem, then let me do it. Bardos coughed awkwardly and shouted loudly to the 7 Super Dragon Balls. Come out, Dragon of God, please fulfill my wish, I want to send it. When Bardos used the word of God, the Super Dragon Ball, which was originally only glowing with a faint light, suddenly showed a dazzling and bright light. The light became brighter and brighter, and it flew towards the vast universe, gradually revealing a huge golden figure. Soon, under the gaze of Cert and the other 2, a golden western dragon appeared. It's so big. It's worthy of being a cosmic beast. Champa looked at the super dragon with a pair of huge bat wings in front of him and couldn't help but sigh. After all, it's a super dragon. Bardos also saw the super dragon for the first time and couldn't help but sigh. As soon as the sigh fell, the dragon opened its huge mouth towards the 3 people, as if it wanted to swallow Cert and the others into its belly. Oh my god. Seeing this scene, Champa was so scared that his face turned blue and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. What's going on? Bardos also looked serious and hurried to pull Cert to dodge. Calm down, I think it may be a foreshadowing for the realization of the wish next. Suit smiled at the 2 and comforted them. Nima. This is not the way to lay the foreshadowing. Champa trembled and was full of fear of the super dragon at this moment. Swish. The 3 people who were swallowed had different expressions. Cert was excited, Bardos was a little nervous, and Champa was scared. In the boundless darkness, just when Bardos wanted to show the light. In front of the 3 people, a miniature super dragon suddenly appeared, with blood-red eyes and a deafening voice. Tell me your wish. Just when Bardos was about to speak, Cert suddenly said, Bardos, in addition to immortality, I also want to have the physique and learning ability of Majin Buu. Oh, okay. Bardos did not have any objections and expressed Cert's wish in the language of God. Just when Surt was happily thinking about having unlimited physical strength and unlimited regeneration, a ray of light fell on his body. The blood-red eyes of the super dragon emitted a bright light and wrapped Surt in it. Immediately afterwards, Surt felt an unspeakable pain. Ah! This is a kind of pain that breaks all the bones and flesh in the body and then reassembles them. Huh, so miserable. Champa looked at the light ball with a face full of fear, but could not see Surt's figure. Surt. Bardos' face flashed with a strong worry. No. Nothing. The pain came quickly and went away quickly. The next moment, the light disappeared, and the intact suitor appeared in the eyes of Bardos and Champa. Huh. Seeing that suitor was safe, Bardos breathed a sigh of relief. Will he not die like this? Champa looked at suitor carefully, suddenly curled his lips, raised his index finger and shot out destructive energy at suitor. Bang! The destructive energy went straight through suitor's chest. Champa, what are you doing? Seeing suitor seriously injured, Bardos suddenly felt a throbbing. Her originally calm heart suddenly felt a throbbing pain. She didn't even call her adults, and shouted at Champa with an angry face, why did you attack suitor? I just want to try it, right? Champa noticed that Bardos was angry, and his voice became smaller and smaller, even with a bit of grievance. What do you mean by try it? You are using the power of rules and pure immortality. Surt looked down at the huge wound on his chest and said in disbelief, I seem to be fine. The wound was healing itself, and it was still healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Really? When Bardos looked sideways, she found that the big hole on suitor's chest had disappeared. If there wasn't such a big hole in her clothes, she would have thought that everything was just an illusion. Look, immortality probably includes the attack damage to the power of rules. Champa, who was inexplicably scolded, felt very aggrieved. Your wish has been fulfilled, so goodbye. The super dragon said this and turned into a beam of light again. The 7 super dragon balls also quickly scattered in all directions. What do you think? If I wish that the erasure ability of the Omni King is transferred to me next time, can it be realized? Looking at the scattered dragon balls, Suitor suddenly came up with this bold idea. In that case, how awesome it would be, waving your hand to eliminate the existence of the haters, and also destroy a universe. This wish is definitely not fulfilled. Bardos was curious about how much Suitor knew, but still answered his question seriously. Why? Suitor was puzzled. There is such a relationship between the dragon god and the Lord of all kings. One is responsible for cleaning, and the other is responsible for restoration. This balance is fixed and cannot be broken. The dragon god will not agree to such a wish. Bardos led Surt and Champa to travel through the universe while explaining. It seems that the super dragon god is not omnipotent. Surt was a little disappointed, but he threw the idea away in a few seconds. Originally, it was just a whim. It's like you can make any wish to the dragon god, but it involves gods, such as angels, gods of destruction and Lord of all kings. This kind of wish is not allowed. Bardos said another sentence to comfort Surt. Champa also followed up, persuading Surt to give up. In fact, it's better to say that the dragon of God can't deprive the Omni King of his power. Otherwise, in this vast universe, with so many evil people, this wish would have been realized long ago. Even if it can be realized, it's useless. This will violate the bottom line of the high priest and destroy you directly. Well, immortality is enough. Suitor is not a very ambitious person, so he directly diverted the topic. In this case, the high priest's combat power is still higher than the Omni King. Erasure is a rule power, which has little to do with strength. Bardos explained lightly. Oh. The atmosphere was quiet for a few seconds before Champa spoke. Go back and make us some delicious food. We have helped you a lot. Okay. Faced with this request, Surt was also straightforward and nodded in agreement. The days of eating and drinking began. Today we have mutton hot pot, tomorrow we have Sichuan cuisine, the day after tomorrow we have Japanese food. Occasionally, Surt will have a candlelight dinner and eat Western food with Bardos. If Champa wants to eat, he has to play the role of a waiter. In Surt's eyes, life is comfortable and fulfilling. But within 2 months, Champa gained a lot of weight at a speed visible to the naked eye. Lord Champa, you should go on a diet to lose weight. Looking at Champa who was getting more and more greasy, Bardos was nakedly disgusted. No. I won't. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Champa shook his head desperately and protected a large bag of snacks in his arms. If you don't go on a diet, you have to move your legs. Sut held a kitchen knife and showed a harmless smile. Otherwise, I won't give you food. Faced with these kind suggestions and looking at the two people who bullied him, Champa finally compromised and chose to exercise to lose weight. Who? Looking at Champa, who was out of breath after running a few steps, Suitor shook his head in disdain. This god of destruction is really a watered-down version of himself. I heard you say before, what kind of diet meal would you make? Arrange it for him. Bardos also looked disgusted. Just as he was about to agree, Suitor suddenly felt the vibration of the phone in his pocket. This phone was specially given to him by Bulma before, saying that he could communicate with the Earth from any corner of the universe. Of course, Bulma's original words were not like this. She said, Suitor, if you go to the universe to find Dragon Balls and encounter any danger, remember to call me. I will ask Vegeta and Goku to save you. Your cooking skills can't just disappear like this. At that time, Suitor sneered. He needs to be saved. But he has a girlfriend named Bardos, who is here. However, it would be unkind to refuse the call with good intentions, so Suitor received it at that time. He never used it, but he didn't expect Bulma to contact him first. Could it be that something happened on Earth? But what kind of shit could happen on Earth where Son Goku and Vegeta are? Hello. Sutter pressed the answer button and put the phone to his ear. Bulma. What's up? Sutter, are you free recently? Bulma on the other end of the phone quickly asked. It's like this, my 38th birthday is coming, I want to invite you and your girlfriend to come. Why didn't you say that the birthday party is still missing a cook? Sutter didn't have to think too much to guess Bulma's little thoughts. Oh, don't say that. Trunks said he really wants to eat your food, and I also need your food to support the scene. Bulma kept nagging, tempting Sutter with money. 1 million Sony, okay. I don't need you to go to the kitchen, just on the deck of the cruise ship, you can set up a stall. Okay. Varys and Whis will also appear at that time, and he can cook a meal for these two guys. I don't know what reward the system will give him at that time. Cert responded and brought the topic back to the beginning. By the way, are you really 38 years old? I remember you were born in 733 Aki. Before he finished speaking, the call was hung up. What's wrong? Bardos looked at Cert curiously and asked. Her hearing was very good, and she had already heard the conversation between Bulma and Cert clearly. You also know Bulma, she said she would invite us to her birthday party. Do you want to go? Cert asked Bardos' opinion. If she chooses not to go, he will not go either, the wife follows the husband. Sure, is Bulma your girlfriend too? Bardos asked innocently, which almost made Sutter spit out his food. No, she is my employer at most, and she can only be considered an ordinary friend of mine. Sutter shook his head desperately, took Bardos' hands, and said affectionately, my girlfriend is only you. Even in the future, there will be only more Kus and Makarita. Hey, it seems that Android 21 is not bad. What are you talking about? Sweating and panting, suddenly squeezed in between Bardos and Sutter. Are you trying to hide something delicious from me? No, I have something to go back in a few days. Sutter took a few steps back and stayed away from the greasy fat cat. Oh. Champa lost interest instantly and waved his hand. You guys go, it doesn't matter if you go for a few more days. The longer the better, he only has a few dishes to eat now, no delicious food at all. In addition, he has to be watched by the two in turn, and he has to exercise all the time, he can't wait for the two to leave. Even if he can't eat delicious food, it's good to exercise less. Hee. Lord Champa, I know what you are thinking. Bardos smiled, and with a tap of the scepter in his hand, a sphere appeared above Champa's head. Even if we go out, Suitor and I will still take turns to watch you to see if you are lazy. Ah. Kill me. Champa held his head and looked up at the sky, screaming miserably. Looking at the bald head, Cert asked curiously, what is this? A stone that can communicate with the magic stone on my scepter. Bardos said and added, it's different from yours. Mine can show pictures. Oh. Time passed quickly and it was 3 days later. August 18, 778 AE. This day was Bulma's birthday, and it was also the day when Beerus woke up and came to Earth to find the Super Saiyan God. Are you guys going to set off? Holding a piece of dried vegetable in his mouth, Champa lay on the rock without any image, looking at Bardos and Cert standing together. Yes, then please, Lord Champa, take good care of the house. Bardos smiled at Champa and took Cert's arm. The atmosphere was full, and there was an inexplicable sense of a newlywed couple going out for their honeymoon and a fat cat watching the house. Tisk. Remember to bring me some special delicacies from there. Champa stretched lazily and changed his supine position. You are still losing weight, why are you thinking about delicacies? Before he finished speaking, Bardos suddenly turned his head to look at the sky, with a look of surprise. What's wrong? Su-Te asked in confusion. Bardos shook his head and smiled at Su-Te. Nothing, let's go. Well. Looking at the disappearing backs of the two, Champa sat up and looked at the sky that Bardos had looked at before, and smiled with his lips curled. That guy is awake. The smile froze on Champa's face as soon as it appeared. He said in surprise, wait, where are Bardos and Cert going? It seems to be the 7th universe. Will they meet? It shouldn't be, the 7th universe is so big. Cold sweat continued to fall from Champa's forehead as he imagined it himself. What if Beerus takes a fancy to my cook? Bardos, come back soon. Bring Cert back quickly. No one could hear his wailing. At this moment, Bardos and Cert have arrived on Earth in the 7th universe. West City, Bulma's house. At Bulma's warm invitation, the two boarded the luxury cruise ship one after another. Is this the so-called birthday party? Bardos looked left and right, very curious about the so-called cruise ship he saw for the first time. There were many people on the cruise ship, but they were all waiters, and the familiar people had hardly appeared yet. It has nothing to do with birthdays. It's just a cruise ship. It just happens that Bulma's family is rich. Suit relaxed his shoulders and came to the stall. He got some squid skewers for teppanyaki and handed them to Bardos. Just think of yourself as coming here to have fun. Take whatever you want to eat. If you like this kind of cruise ship, I'll get you one later. Not really, I just think there are a lot of fun things to do on the planet you live in. Yeah, but it's just some entertainment. Suit responded and continued to grill squid. You don't have to stay next to me all the time. There are other delicious foods on other stalls. No. Bardos shook his head slightly and explained, I ate some last time, and I feel that those things are not as delicious as what you make. Just as the two were chatting, Trunks and Son Goten chased each other to Sutter with water guns. Trunks sniffed and looked at the squid on the teppanyaki with greed. Hee. Uncle Sutter, give me a few skewers. Son Goten was still a little bit serious, and stretched out 3 fingers to Sutter and shouted, I want 5 skewers. Okay. Sutter responded lightly and handed over the squid he had just made. Trunks is the eldest son of Bulma and Vegeta, and also the eldest son of the richest family. Son Goten is the second son of Son Goku and Chi-Chi, and has been playing with Trunks since he was a child. The two are only 1 year apart in age, both are naughty, and are often called the funny duo by everyone. Goten, you have 3 fingers standing up, how come you mean 5? Trunks frowned, dissatisfied that Goten had more squid than him. Hee, don't worry about such trivial matters. Goten made a face with a smile, and ran away with 5 skewers of squid. Is this a human child? Looking at Trunks and Goten laughing and playing in the distance, Bardos tilted his head, full of surprise. Have you never seen a human child? Cert asked, finding it interesting, and continued to grill new squid. Hey, Bulma, is your cook back again? A black-haired man in a suit with a scar on his cheek walked up to Cert and asked with a smile. Beside him, there was an animal-like earthling who looked like a fat cat. Yamcha and Pool, the earliest male supporting role and the male supporting role's pet partner in Dragon Ball. Before Sutter could respond, Bulma in the distance had already put her hands on her hips, walked over, and said dissatisfiedly. Yamcha, it's impolite to talk like this. Sutter was specially invited by me. He came here as my friend. Okay. Yamcha didn't care much, shrugged and looked at Bardos who was eating silently on the side. Who is this beauty? As he asked, he started staring at Bardos and started to flirt with her. Beauty, are you also here to attend Bulma's birthday party? Yes, but she is Sutter's girlfriend, you should shut up and eat. Bulma had a black line on her forehead, and she stuffed the squid on the iron plate into Yamcha's mouth with an impatient look. Hot, hot, hot. This behavior really made Yamcha shut his mouth obediently. Master Yamcha, are you okay? The suspended pool asked with a worried look. Bardos, come with us over there, I have delicious desserts, let's go. Bulma took Bardos' arm and walked towards Chi-Chi and Vital, introducing each other. Come, let me introduce you, this is Chi-Chi, Goku's wife, and this is Vital, Goku's daughter-in-law. Hello, oh, let me tell you, my Goku is super irresponsible. As the gossip sounded, Sutter also retracted his gaze. Bardos didn't seem to resist Bulma pulling her away. Judging from her expression, she seemed to be a little curious about this kind of gossip. Could this be the legendary nature of women? Thinking so, Sutter noticed a hidden look. I don't know when, Kame-sensei has come to his side. He leaned on a cane, looked at Sutter with a strange look and asked, how did you suddenly have such a powerful power? Shish, don't ask if you shouldn't ask. Sutter lowered his voice and whispered this in his ear. Master Kame looked at Sutter with a serious expression. He could feel that Sutter was just an ordinary person last time, but suddenly he became so strong. Even stronger than Sun Wukong. What's even weirder is that his so-called girlfriend also gave him a very strange feeling. Give me a few skewers of Marin, Sutter. When Master Kame was lost in thought, Krillin and his family also came to Sutter. Okay. Watching Sutter's busyness, Krillin gossiped in a low voice and asked, your girlfriend is pretty good looking, when are you going to get married? It's too early. Sutter was also a little surprised that Krillin was also a gossiper like a woman. Well, do you think his girlfriend is pretty? Number 18, with blonde hair, glared at Krillin with a frown. Better than me, right? Ah. No. Listen to me. Krillin was embarrassed and hurriedly turned back to explain to No. 18. Watching the interaction between the two, Sutter shrugged. If he hadn't come to the Dragon Ball world too late, Android 18 wouldn't have fallen into the hands of Krillin, the noseless dwarf. Hey, get out of the way, I want to eat. Boo, dressed in pink, pushed Krillin's family aside and squeezed in front of Sutter. I want 10 skewers, no, 100 skewers. Sutter, don't listen to him, just get some. Satan, who followed behind, was speechless and said hurriedly. Satan, you won't give me food. Then I'll be angry. Aren't there other delicious things? Look at the takoyaki over there. Satan felt very tired under Boo's throwing a tantrum. I want some too, brother Tien, do you want some? The floating dumplings also came to the stall, turned his head and looked at Tien Shinhan and asked. No. Tien Shinhan crossed his arms and responded lightly. If you don't want it, then give me the one that's out of the oven later. Wu Long came to Surt's feet with a grinning pig face. Ha ha ha. Now, it's mine. The Pilaf trio flashed quickly, snatched the squid skewers that had just reached Wu Long's hands, and ran away with a grimace. Asshole, stop right there. Wu Long was furious and hurried to chase him. Come on, catch me. Snap. A crisp slap sounded, and everyone looked back. I saw that Kame-senpai, who wanted to sneak attack Vital's buttocks, was slapped by Bulma and his nose bled. Old pervert. Watch out for your pig's trotters. Ha ha ha. What a shame. Chi-Chi's father, the Bull Demon King, covered his face helplessly. Why didn't his teacher change his bad habits? Everyone was very lively, except for Vegeta who was huddled in the corner with his arms folded. Even Piccolo, who was wearing a white cape and green clothes, would occasionally say a few words to Son Gohan, who was wearing black framed glasses. Just when the atmosphere was harmonious and lively. Bardos suddenly stood up and looked up at the sky. Oh, they are actually coming straight to the earth. What is coming? Who is it? The women sitting around were full of confusion, and they also looked up in confusion. But the blue sky was nothing but white clouds that occasionally floated by. Swish. Just when the women looked at Bardos again, a ball of light had descended on the cruise ship. Two figures appeared in the ball of light. One looked a bit like Bardos, and it was the angel of the seventh universe, Whis. He is Bardos's younger brother. The other one looks very similar to Shangba, but is several sizes smaller than Shangba. And his tail is much longer than Champa's. Beerus, the god of destruction of Universe 7, is a twin of Champa. Is this Earth? Where are the Saiyans? Beerus put his hands behind his head and looked at Whis behind him and asked. It should be nearby. Whis said, probing the magic stone on the scepter in his hand. Humph, I went to King Kai in vain. I thought that Saiyan named Sun was very powerful. Beerus complained while walking towards the deck of the cruise ship. I still think that Lord Beerus and the prophecy fish predicted it wrong. Whis muttered while walking and looking at the magic stone. The previous Saiyans were all destroyed by Frieza under your command. How can there be another Super Saiyan God? HMPH, didn't you also say that Frieza was defeated by that Saiyan son in the end? Otherwise, why would I make such a trip? Beerus said unhappily, muttering to himself. I wasted an episode of my time watching anime. I should have found something. Vegeta, who disliked the noise, just walked over from the deck and bumped into the two people. After seeing the two strangers, he asked, Who are you? Huh. Whis looked at Vegeta, then looked at the magic stone on his scepter, and said to Beerus. Lord Beerus, this man is also one of the Saiyans on Earth. Oh, he looks familiar. Beerus touched his chin and thought for a moment. While he was thinking, Vegeta had already recalled the horrible memories of his childhood. Beerus. You are the Saiyan prince. Ha ha ha, your father really makes me hate him. Beerus said, and walked in front of Vegeta, patting his shoulder with a mocking look. At this time, Bulma, who was puzzled by Bardos' strange behavior, also came to the corner. Whis, Lord Beerus. It's you. Bardos smiled at the three people standing together. Hey, isn't this my sister? Whis was stunned for a moment, but soon laughed. Why are you here? Isn't Champa here too? This is the universe I govern. Beerus was not happy at all when he saw Bardos. Once he saw this angel, it meant that Champa was not far away. No, Lord Champa didn't come. I came for something else. Bardos denied it directly. Oh, what important thing could have made you leave Lord Champa and come to our universe? Whis instantly showed curiosity. Are you and Cert's friends? Bulma looked at the conversation between the few people and blinked blankly. Sort of. Bardos pondered for a moment and introduced, This is my younger brother, and that is my younger brother's apprentice. Oh, you are a guest, welcome, welcome. Bulma smiled and walked towards Whis and Beerus, greeting them. Today is my birthday, please don't be polite. Birthday. Beerus' nose twitched slightly, his face full of high spirits, is there anything delicious? I smell the fragrance. Wow, then we won't be polite. Whis also followed, walking side by side with Bardos. Looking at the person who was exposed in an instant, Vegeta stood there, looking dazed and a little confused. Where is he? What is he doing? What happened just now? His wife took the god of destruction away. Oh my god. The cold sweat on Vegeta's forehead continued to flow down with his thoughts. Is this the person you specially wanted to accompany? Walking around the corner, after seeing Cert, Whis showed a complicated look. The other party looks very ordinary, not even a god, how could he be favored by Bardos? His sister is not a naive and kind person. It's so strange. Well, we will go back after attending this birthday party. Bardos nodded, showing off with some ambiguous meaning. Brother, I tell you, as long as you have tasted the food made by Cert, you will never look down on other things again. Oh. Excuse me, can you give me one? Whis didn't believe it, and came to Cert and asked politely. Take it yourself. After hearing the strange voice, Cert looked up in surprise and saw Whis who was smiling like spring breeze. A little further away, there was Beerus who was looking around under the introduction of Bulma. System, give me some fresh ingredients quickly, I want to start working. Looking at the arrival of these two people, Cert smiled and said to the system in his heart. If you want to seduce Bardos, you must have super strength. If you want super strength, you must let stronger people eat the food he makes. After showing off his skills to Bardos and Champa last time, he jumped directly from Saiyan to Super Saiyan 3. This time, an angel and a god of destruction came, so he would directly reach the realm of Super Saiyan God or Super Saiyan Blue. How could Cert not be excited? Well, this taste is not special. At most, it is delicious. Whis had already picked up the squid and ate it while talking nonchalantly. You should have a limit, okay. Krillin, who was about to eat a few more skewers, looked at the empty iron plate and was speechless. Beerus, who came slowly, was angry after seeing the messy skewers. Hey, leave some for me. Hey, over there, isn't there something delicious? Whis was not afraid of Beerus at all. He pointed to other stalls and asked Surt. Haha, Sutter, right. Can you please make me some more? Seeing Whis's face full of unsatisfied desire, Bardos was speechless. But at this time, Sutter had already pulled a white cloth strip beside him, tied it on his forehead, and smiled at the people present. Today, I will show you my skills. Oh. Sutter is finally willing to cook officially. Seeing Sutter's enthusiasm, Bulma clapped her hands happily. It's been 3 years, and when Sutter came to apply for the job, he had this expression. The dishes after that were also rich and varied, and they were also delicious, but I always felt that they were not as good as the one he applied for. Thinking about it now, I really miss it. If she hadn't married Vegeta, Sutter would have come late again. She wanted to tie Sutter to her side and let him make delicious food for her every day. Hey, what are you going to do? Krillin's family also turned their heads and looked at Sutter. Are you going to play a fun game? What is Surtur doing? Beerus, who was about to leave, turned back after hearing Surtur's words. What did you just say? Delicious food, want it? Surtur smiled, and many fresh ingredients appeared as he waved his hand. The waiter on the side, under the command of Bulma, put up the kitchen utensils and pots and bowls. Everyone heard the words and gathered in front of Surtur, watching him cut the vegetables. What a fast speed! Piccolo's eyes widened instantly when he saw Surtur's knife falling. This speed is simply not something that ordinary people can have. After cutting the vegetables, when he saw Surtur patting the meat with his bare hands, Vegeta, who was quietly approaching, was also shocked. That strength, how can it be so precise? Yamcha, a layman, couldn't help but praise. Although he is just a cook, his movements are really beautiful. Tisk, I, who have no nose, have already smelled the tempting fragrance. Krillin held Marin, and the father and daughter kept swallowing their saliva. Compared with this pudding is not delicious at all. Boo also drooled and threw away several puddings in his arms. Swish, swish, swish. At Sutter's super fast speed, a plate of delicious food with good color, fragrance and taste was placed on the long table. Okay, you guys start. Sutter put one hand on his waist, habitually took out a cigarette from his pocket and lit it. Gurgle. The difficult swallowing sound sounded, and the people present rushed to the long table. Come on, there are more here. Seeing Bardos step forward, Sutter hurriedly stopped him. He brought out several more plates with a smile, and said to Bardos, how could I ask you to fight with them? Wow, you are the best. Bardos looked at the dishes in front of him happily, and he didn't know where to start. Fried fish slices, double skin milk, curry fish balls, pasta, all your favorites. Hey, sister, do you have a separate portion? Let me try. Wes didn't know when he came over here, and while talking, he reached for the curry fish balls with chopsticks. Soft and sticky, and with a rebound. Delicious. Bardos also picked up a piece and asked Weiss while eating. Indeed, it's delicious. Weiss sighed with satisfaction, and then he picked up the food faster. Weiss, this is mine, you should go to their side. Seeing that Weiss had swept up most of it in a blink of an eye, Bardos was a little angry. Oh, sister, how can you be so stingy? Weiss was eating while perfunctorily absent-minded. Sutter didn't say anything, turned his head and looked at the long table. Asshole, this is mine. Why did you take my chicken wings? Is your name written on it? Whoever takes it will get it. Vegeta, those are my fried buns and spring rolls. Hey, it's shameful for you to lick the plate. Sutter took off the cigarette in his mouth and blew out long smoke rings one after another. He may be the only one who has become stronger in the Dragon Ball world by relying on his cooking skills, right? Congratulations to the host, you have won the recognition of the Saiyans, Earthlings, Three-Eyed Stars and Namekians for their food. The cooking skills have increased by 2%, and the current cooking skills are 17%. Congratulations to the host, you have won the recognition of Whis and Beerus for their food, and the cooking skills have increased by 5%, and the current cooking skills are 22%. This time, the reward is a negligible 100 million combat power, plus 2 amounts of God's combat power, a total of 3 God's combat power. The transformable forms are still Super Saiyan form, Super 2 form, Super 3 form. At the same time, the tasters are angels and gods of destruction, and the hidden level 1 destruction skills and level 1 ultra instinct are rewarded again. Currently, the host's destruction skill is level 2, and the ultra instinct is also the same. Only 3. Sutter was not satisfied with this. Super Saiyan God must have 6 amounts to transform. How many dishes have I received recently? As soon as Cert finished asking, the system quickly replied, Meet Bardos, 100,000 have been reset, and now we are recounting, 13,000. The goal is still a long way to go, host. Get lost. Just as Cert complained in his mind, Beerus came to him with a toothpick in his mouth, looking dissatisfied. There's only so much, and so many people share it, I'm not happy with it. Make me some more. This attitude is even worse than that of Shangpana. Why? Suter was upset, and he became impatient with Beerus's impolite attitude. This meal was wasted by Beerus and wasted by him. Suter was naturally annoyed because he failed to transform into a Super Saiyan god. Hey, I say you're going too far. Krillin, who also looked unsatisfied, walked to Beerus, put his arm around his shoulders and said. It's great that they can make it for us to eat. You still make demands like this. You should at least consider other people's hard work. Shut up, I'm not talking to you. Beerus grinned, and with a rage, he knocked Krillin away. Bang! Krillin knocked over the long table and crashed into the small stage background board set up on the side. The plates on the long table fell to the ground with a clatter, and it was a mess. You guy. Seeing Krillin being knocked away, number 18 frowned angrily and rushed towards Beerus. But before number 18 could get close to Beerus, he was also repelled by a sharp wave of air. Mom. Looking at number 18 falling to the ground, Marin burst into tears in a moment of helplessness. What are you doing? Why did you attack Krillin and no? 18. Seeing 2 people being knocked away by Beerus one after another, the other people present were also a little angry and questioned one by one. HMPH, nosy. Beerus snorted disdainfully, narrowed his eyes and looked at Cert, and asked again, Did you hear what I said? Then did you hear what I said? Cert did not shrug and repeated it. If you want to eat what he made, he must be willing to do it. Seeing that the atmosphere began to become tense, Bardos turned his head to look at Whis, who was still picking up food to eat. Will you not care? Whis bit his chopsticks and asked with a smile, Sister, can you wait until I finish eating? If you let Lord Beerus not care, then this is your best chance to eat delicious food. Bardos shrugged, and his words hit Whis's 7 inches, making him almost bite off the chopsticks. Ahem. Whis quickly put down his chopsticks and walked towards Beerus. Master Beerus, you need to calm down. At this time, Beerus was obviously so angry that Cert laughed. He shook his hand. The purple fist ignored Whis. Looks like I have to teach you a lesson. Why do you always want to solve problems with force? Trunks and Goten couldn't stand it anymore. Uncle Surtur, we're here to help you. The 2 little brats shouted and posed in a few poses, using metamorphosis. Fusion. The fusion of the 2, Gotenks, shouted and punched Beerus. Just when Gotenks was about to fly in front of Beerus, Surtur waved his hand to stop him from approaching, saying, No need. I can handle it myself. Even if Gotenks entered the Super 3 form, he would still be slapped on the butt as in the original plot. Ah. I remember, why do I feel familiar with him? The new god Dandy hiding behind Piccolo trembled and said, He is. He is the god of destruction of this universe. What did you say? Piccolo was shocked. That's right, the god of destruction Beerus, no one can disobey him. Vegeta also walked past Piccolo with a solemn face. If you disobey him, the end. The end is the destruction of the planet. Vegeta clenched his fists tightly, and his mind was full of his father's humble appearance. Beerus, so terrible. I can give you 2 choices, one is to talk to me nicely, because you still want to eat what I cook. Second, if you decide to do something to me, then in the future, I will never, ever cook anything for you. Sutter handed out 2 choices, and then waited fearlessly for Beerus' answer. Even if Beerus chose the second jump, Sutter didn't think there was any problem. Although he is only at Super Saiyan 3 now, he is strong enough to face Beerus. Because he has an immortal body as a support, plus the power of fearlessness of destruction. At most, he can't beat Beerus. A battle without life threat will only make him stronger. The bug of Kabo Saiyan, recover instantly after being seriously injured and on the verge of death. In addition, in his previous wish with Super Shenlong, he also asked for the same learning talent as Buu. Who knows, while fighting with Beerus, he may learn various fighting skills and step into Super Saiyan God. Thinking of this, Cert really wants to fight with Beerus. Beerus gritted his teeth, but he really couldn't do anything to Cert. If he didn't fight, he would be angry. If he fought, he wouldn't be able to eat the food made by this guy in the future. Why is he so stubborn and holds him tightly? Whis, what do you want to say? Beerus, who was angry, found a way out for himself and turned his head to look at Whis and shouted. Wow, Lord Beerus, I want to say that this guy who just made the food is also a Saiyan. Whis came to Beerus and said with a chuckle. Tisk. Have all the Saiyans from planet Vegeta come to Earth? Beerus snorted coldly, put his hands on his waist and tried to change the subject. His diversion effect was very good, at least everyone present looked at Cert with surprise. You are also a Saiyan. Vegeta narrowed his eyes, a little unbelievable. This guy seems to be his family's chef, a Saiyan chef. It's really embarrassing for the Saiyans. Really. I didn't expect that there are Saiyans besides us. Son Gohan couldn't hide the surprise on his face, and kept looking at Cert. Don't mention it, we didn't seem to notice the tail around his waist before. Krillin, who supported number 18 to get up, also expressed his feelings. By the way, why didn't I notice Uncle Cert with a tail behind him before? Trunks frowned. He felt that there was no such thing in his memory. Then what? Seeing that Beerus was no longer arrogant, Cert also restrained his depressed mood and asked. By the way, I came here to find the Super Saiyan God. Beerus slapped his forehead and looked around at everyone present and asked. Who among you knows? What birthday? What delicious food? This is not a matter of wasting an episode of his comics. The people present looked at each other, also confused, many of them were Saiyans. But what is the Super Saiyan God? They really don't know. Even Vegeta was confused. I know. Sutter's words instantly broke the quiet atmosphere. Everyone's eyes also shifted to him. But Sutter put one hand in his pocket, under Beerus's expectant eyes, he slowly took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. Saiyan God. Are you? Beerus nodded repeatedly, looking at Sutter with expectation. Now, there is no need to use the excuse of beating him to eat delicious food. He wants to use the name of sparring with the Super Saiyan God to beat this guy up. I'm not. Sutter waved his hand, noticing that Whis was still listening attentively, and continued. Although I'm not, I know how to become a Super Saiyan God. That requires 6 Saiyans, 5 of whom must focus all their mental strength on one person. If everything goes well, that's it. Sutter didn't hide it, and after exhaling a puff of smoke, he answered the question. Mental strength. Vegeta and Son Gohan were confused, looking at Surtur with suspicion. Trunks and Son Goten were already shaking people on the scene. 1, 2, 3. Including Uncle Surtur, there are only 5. By the way, my father is still on King Kai and hasn't come back yet. Son Goten suddenly realized, and hit his fist against his palm and said. That. Actually. Vital looked at the people present, shyly wanting to say something but stopping. Tisk. After all, you're not the Super Saiyan God. Beerus looked at Surtur with contempt. Why are you pretending to be so arrogant? You're just a guy who can only cook. Hee. If you have the guts, don't eat what I cook. Cert did not give in and immediately retorted. Seeing that the two started to quarrel again, Bulma stood between them with a headache. Okay, stop talking, today is my birthday, don't ruin the atmosphere of the party. Get out. Beerus bared his sharp fangs and shouted at Bulma. You are really arrogant, you think I really don't dare to hit you just because you are from Bardos and Champa. Pa. Before Beerus finished shouting, a crisp slap hit his cheek. Bulma put her hands on her waist and said angrily, enough, if you want to quarrel and fight, leave here. There was a dead silence at the scene. Bulma slapped Beerus. She was like a cow standing on its head, so awesome. Bulma. Vegeta's eyes were as big as bells, and his whole body was shaking like a sieve. It's over. Beerus was stunned for 3 seconds, and then he turned around and looked at Bulma. Human. He was beaten by an Earth woman. As Beerus was furious, Bardos and Whis on the side were also very surprised. This. Before Whis could speak, Beerus had already waved his hand to return the slap. Stop. Cert saw Beerus's move and hurriedly tried to stop him. His former employer was going to be in trouble. But for some reason, Beerus was so aggressive, but the strength he showed was not particularly strong. At most, he knocked Bulma unconscious, but he didn't beat her to death directly. Bang! Looking at Bulma being slapped away, Cert saw Bardos's small movements from the corner of his eye. Did she help secretly? Bulma, my Bulma. Seeing Bulma flying backwards, although she was caught by Trunks and Son Goten. But it was still clear that her cheeks were constantly red and swollen. Vegeta saw this and his eyes were red. His Bulma. His wife in his palm. Ah! Vegeta roared and roared, showing his absolute good husband's nature for 5 seconds. Beerus, you fool. Vegeta bit his back teeth tightly and rushed out. The airwaves around him surged, and he instantly entered the Super 2 form, accompanied by lightning around him. Vegeta punched Beerus and swung it heavily. Tisk. Beerus showed disdain, sneered, and suddenly disappeared on the spot. Seeing that the first move failed, Vegeta followed closely, chasing after him and diving straight into the sky. Bang, bang, bang. The two of them punched and kicked in the sky, and the afterimages were completely unclear. How dare you hurt my Bulma? In extreme anger, Vegeta exerted his strength far beyond his usual strength, and he swung his clenched fist again. This time, he succeeded. The huge fist hit Beerus on the cheek. Oh. Beerus was a little surprised, and he reached out to wipe the place on his cheek that was hit. Vegeta, who he didn't take seriously at all, actually had such power. Saiyans really can't be underestimated. Oh, they're fighting again. Whis put down his chopsticks, took a look, and then moved to the sushi stand next to him, eating all kinds of sushi. Hearing his insincere words, Bardos was speechless. Then you still have the mood to eat. Food should not be wasted. Whis didn't care much and ordered all kinds of sushi. In midair, Vegeta, who was able to punch Beerus like Bulma, never got any advantage again. Boom. If Beerus was a little more serious, he would have completely crushed Vegeta and knocked him into the sea. The sea level was turbulent in an instant, and huge waves were raised. Vegeta. Seeing this scene, everyone present screamed. By the time Vegeta jumped out of the water again, Beerus had already gathered enough destructive energy to destroy the earth. Swish. Sutter didn't plan to sit on the wall and watch anymore. He quickly rushed forward and blocked Vegeta. Enough, Beerus, you are here to find the god of Saiyans, not to destroy the earth. Beerus ignored what Sutter said. He directly threw the destructive energy on his fingers towards the sea below. Tisk. Sutter had no choice but to raise his hands and block the destructive energy with his arms. Boom. The purple light instantly submerged Sutter's body. Seeing this scene from the corner of his eye, Whis looked at it in surprise and asked Bardos, who did nothing. Sister, aren't you going to take action? Your people are all going to be destroyed. Ho ho. Angels can't interfere with these things. Bardos smiled while eating pudding leisurely. Besides, Cert is not an ordinary person. Really? Whis put the sushi in his mouth and looked up at the purple energy in the air with a smile. The light dimmed a little bit, and Cert's tragic roar came from inside. Ah! Cert! You guy! The tragic scene in front of him surprised Vegeta. He didn't expect Cert to rush up to die. When the light completely dissipated, Vegeta widened his eyes, unable to believe that Cert was still alive. Even Cert entered the Super 3 form. In this form, apart from Son Goku, only Gotenks can do it. Cert didn't look back, but just kept panting, Who? At this time, he was extremely embarrassed, and his clothes were ragged. Even the arms that had resisted the destructive energy at the beginning were annihilated in the purple destructive energy. Ha! After taking a breath, Surtur shouted softly, and his new arms with the physique of Majin Buu appeared again. Let's fight. Surtur curled his lips and looked at Beerus with burning eyes. He felt that he had resisted such a destructive energy before, and he felt that the power in his body had become stronger. Of course it will become stronger. The system's attack is more authentic than that of Son Goku and Vegeta's Saiyans. The triumphant mechanical voice of the system sounded in Surtur's mind. I tell you, my kitchen god system is good at fighting on the battlefield and in the kitchen. Sutter ignored its boasting and asked, if I use the mental strength of 6 Saiyans, can I become a Super Saiyan god? Be more confident, remove the last. Ma, your current combat power is stronger than the protagonist Sun Wukong, okay. The system complained, thinking that its host was a little too modest. This system is also a powerful existence in the system world that can punch machines and kick metal. Then Super Saiyan God, doesn't it need 6 levels of God combat power? As soon as Sutter asked the question, he found that his question was stupid. He got the order wrong. It is to become a Super Saiyan God to reach 6 levels of God combat power, not to reach 6 levels of God combat power to enter Super Saiyan God. At this time, Beerus spoke proudly. HMPH, you guys are not Saiyan gods at all, why should I fight you? Then I will become a Super Saiyan God and give you a delicious meal, how about that? For the first time, Surt felt the desire from his blood. The blood was boiling, and the desire to fight was burning. Beerus pondered for a moment, and just when he was about to agree, another person suddenly appeared among the 3. Swish. This person was wearing an orange martial arts uniform, with a big, Wu character in the circle on the back, and a crab-like hairstyle. It was the protagonist of Dragon Ball, Son Goku, who teleported instantly. Lord Beerus, I have a good idea. Aren't you looking for? Before he finished speaking, he noticed the disheveled Surt. Hey, who are you? Once his eyes were on Surt, Sun Wukong could no longer look away. He said excitedly, I can feel that you are very strong. Now is not the time to talk about this. All of you get down first. Surt said, and took the lead to quickly fall to the deck of the cruise ship. What's going on? Vegeta, do you know? Listening to Surt's words, Sun Wukong was confused. I said, he is just an ordinary cook in my family. Do you believe it? Vegeta seemed to have thought of something, and he also showed a proud look. Look, any chef from his family is better than Kakarot. So is he, as the head of the family, not to mention him. Tisk tisk, he had been chasing Kakarot for 7 years. It turned out that he had surpassed him without realizing it. Tisk. Although Beerus wanted to destroy the Earth directly, he thought that he might see the so-called God of Saiyans next. He also temporarily put aside his thoughts and watched the Saiyans land on the deck of the cruise ship. You guys, surround me and release the power of the heart. Surt shouted to the Saiyans present. What is the power of the heart? Not to mention that Sun Wukong, who came late, didn't know, even Vegeta and others were confused. The energy released by the Saiyans with a heart of justice. Sut simply said, and motioned everyone to surround him. Humph, if I can really become the god of Saiyans, then I, the Saiyan Prince, should be one of them. After Vegeta landed on the deck, he folded his arms and remained unmoved. Tisk, then I don't need you. Anyway, there are more than 6 Saiyans present. Sutter said, and turned his attention to Vital. He smiled and asked, Miss Vital, I think you are pregnant, right? Vital exclaimed, and asked in surprise, how? How do you know? I'm still struggling with how to talk to Gohan. From the chef's attentiveness, I found that when you eat, you will deliberately avoid cold and heavy-tasting food. Suit said with a firm smile, but the system in his mind began to complain about him again. What attentiveness. You call this a spoiler. But Sute simply ignored this chattering system. Really? Son Gohan's face showed surprise, and then turned into surprise. He quickly came to Vital and asked. After Vital shyly nodded, Son Gohan wanted to hug her, but was afraid of disturbing the embryo. In his excitement, he could only run to Piccolo's side and jump up and down. Uncle Piccolo, did you hear it? Vital and I have a baby, a baby. Pico's forehead was full of cold sweat, and he looked at Son Gohan speechlessly. I know. I have good hearing. That's what he said, but the corners of his mouth were also slightly raised. Asshole, are you still my family's chef? Vegeta was furious when he heard the news. No, I quit a long time ago. Sutter shrugged and spread his hands, asking, do you want to take turns to become a Super Saiyan later, or give up this opportunity and let the baby in Vital's belly do it? I'll remember you. Vegeta said angrily, walked to the right side of Sutter, and formed a circle with everyone. Although he didn't agree with himself, he would have any say in justice. But when it comes to the issue of the destruction of the earth, he is more or less selfish and doesn't want to be destroyed. Huh. Looking at Son Goku, Vegeta, Son Gohan, Son Goten and Trunks who are surrounding him. Sutter didn't know what to do. But when he came into contact with the aura emitted by everyone, he closed his eyes for some reason. The power in his body was agitated and surging, and he felt inexplicably connected with the aura of the 5 people outside. Surt was immersed in his own world, but everyone present saw him suddenly rising slowly. His hair moved without wind, and a mysterious aura surged around him. Look, his hair has changed color. Yamcha, who had been paying attention to the changes on the scene, spoke first. Also, his aura can no longer be detected, and he is right in front of us. Krillin said with a serious expression as cold sweat slid down his cheeks. As Surt gradually rose, the power in his body also rose steadily. Bright red aura flashed around him, and warm and silent energy spread out, blowing a sharp wind. I can't feel his aura at all, it's incredible. Master Kame blocked his cane between his eyebrows, as if he could block the oncoming strong wind. No, it's not that I can't feel it, but Surt's aura is changing into the aura of a god. Dandy huddled in Piccolo's hand and stuck his head out to explain. Although he is only the god of the earth, he is also a god to some extent. He can feel that Surt's powerful breath is gradually changing into the ethereal aura of God. The aura of God is originally unpredictable and cannot be detected by humans. Oh. It's really interesting. Looking at the aura of God emanating from Surt, Beerus, who is still suspended in the sky, grinned. Wow, the person you are interested in is really extraordinary. Whis, who had eaten delicious food from one stall after another, came back and stood beside Bardos again. Bardos looked at Surt, who was shrouded in bright light, with a gloomy look in his eyes, and his heart was constantly beating inexplicably. There is a kind of feeling, wanting to hold this person's hand and keep running towards the endless future. Bang bang bang. The heart of Surt, who was suspended, was beating fast. He felt the gradually boiling energy in his blood, and the blood of the Saiyan god was quietly awakening. A bright red beam of light shot straight into the sky as Surt shouted. The wind and clouds gathered and dispersed in the blue sky. Surt, with a bright red aura all over his body, had already stood in the air opposite Beerus. You, or the Saiyan god. Beerus showed his sharp nails and squinted his eyes to look at Surt's current appearance. Bright red hair, the figure seems to have become thinner. However, the aura covering the whole body is a bit like the aura of the sun flame. It feels like you are not transformed, you have become a little younger. Beerus didn't care about his own impolite behavior of pointing fingers at Surt. Come on, don't say some useless nonsense and waste unnecessary time. Surt clenched his fist and made a starting gesture, waving at Beerus and said. Beerus is ignorant. I have never experienced the Saiyan's fighting spirit that knows no limits. He will forgive him generously for the time being. HMPH, arrogant. Beerus shouted coldly, stepped on his feet, and rushed directly towards Surt. Looking at Beerus' fist whistling in the wind, Surt's face remained unchanged, and the momentum around him suddenly burst out. Ha! Before Beerus' fist swung in front of him, Surt had disappeared from the original place and appeared behind Beerus. Show some real strength, otherwise you will lose face in front of so many people. After saying that, Surt raised his foot and kicked, attacking Beerus back. Swish. The expected touch did not happen. Beerus disappeared from Surt's eyes and appeared in the distance. He put one hand on his back and shook a finger. Tisk tisk, you just entered the realm of God and you want to attack me, it's just a foolish dream. Facing Beerus's sneer and ridicule, Surt did not speak, he rushed away, as fast as a flash of lightning. But in a moment, Surt has appeared in front of Beerus again, punched him in the face. Huh, you can't hit me. Beerus was complacent, and just when he was about to make a move, Surt in front of him smiled and disappeared. Huh. Using instant teleportation, Surt has appeared behind Beerus, and he raised his foot high and kicked out. The target was still Beerus' back, which he had thought of long ago. Bang! You are quite interesting. Beerus reacted quickly, and he had noticed and turned around when Surt's foot was raised. Surt felt a slight pain in his calf. He looked closely and found that Beerus was holding his sharp nails against his legs. Surt's expression was a little stiff. Although he got this instant movement by wishing, he had mastered it. How could Beerus see through it? Hey, just this little trick. Beerus smiled contemptuously and punched Surt away. Surt, who turned over several times, quickly stabilized his body in the air and rushed towards Beerus again. The speed was as fast as a stream of light. The two faced each other again, and the next moment, there was an indistinct fight of punches and kicks. Bang, bang, bang. On the deck of the cruise ship, everyone watching the battle in the sky was shocked. I can't feel their energy, and I don't know if Surt can defeat the god of destruction Beerus. Son Gohan pushed his glasses on the bridge of his nose, held Vital in his arms, and said with a worried look. He had just received the news that Vital was pregnant, and he had not yet come out of the joy of being a father, and he had to face the possibility of the destruction of the earth. Alas, life is always so ups and downs. Tisk, defeat the god of destruction, how is that possible? Vegeta laughed disdainfully. In a universe, there is no one who can defeat the god of destruction. Wow, you know a lot. Whis scooped the pudding carelessly and glanced at Vegeta. Very strong, Surt may not be the opponent of the god of destruction. Pico, who has the god in his body, stared at the stream of light chasing back and forth in the sky with burning eyes, and sighed. That, plus Vitally has a baby, otherwise, you can also let me become the Saiyan god. Watching the battle in the sky, Sun Wukong was already very excited. He turned his head and asked the Saiyans present. But before they agreed, Chi-Chi walked in front of Sun Wukong with an angry face and gave him a big slap. Pa, that's still a baby, and your grandchild. Chi-Chi put her hands on her waist, and because of excessive anger, wrinkles flashed on her skin that was not well maintained. She scolded, if something unexpected happens, can you bear it? What? I'm just talking. Sun Wukong muttered aggrievedly. Tisk. Looking at such a cowardly Son Goku, Vegeta felt that the noble face of the Saiyans had been lost. He looked up and continued to watch the battle between Beerus and Searcher. Originally, the sky was clear, and occasionally you could see layers of white clouds floating by. At this moment, because of the energy aftermath of the two people's explosion, there was no trace of white clouds. The clear sky became cloudless. The purple streamer and the bright red streamer constantly collided and intertwined. Bang bang bang. All of Searcher's attacks, no matter which punch or kick, would be blocked by Beerus with one hand. Seeing that he only used one hand throughout the whole process, Searcher did not have any annoyed expression. He was using Boo's terrifying learning attitude to continuously narrow the gap with Beerus. The next small goal was to force Beerus to fight him with both hands. Humph, I thought you were so powerful. But you are just like this. Beerus said arrogantly to Surt. Let's not compete anymore. Hurry up and get down and make me some delicious food. After that, I will destroy this planet that I hate. Looking at Beerus, who seemed to have had enough fun and was gradually losing his patience, Surt said with a smile. Okay, then I will show you my strongest move. Ha! Under the bright red flame, Surt's right fist condensed into a golden light. At the same time, waves of dragon roars sounded, and a golden dragon shadow appeared behind him. Dragon Fist. Surt swooped over Beerus, and his right fist wrapped in golden light whistled out. Tisk. What's the strongest move? It's still garbage. Beerus looked disdainful, and purple destructive energy began to gather between his index fingers. Explode. With Surt's loud shout, the huge dragon shadow roared and collided with Beerus' destructive energy. Seeing the golden energy that penetrated the destructive energy and came straight at him, Beerus' face was truly moved. He was no longer calm, and gathered destructive energy at his fingertips again and hit Surt. Hey, I really made you look at me differently, didn't I? Suitor raised a smug smile and approached Beerus again with his right fist raised. He was not afraid of destructive energy. Are you a lunatic? Beerus increased the output of destructive energy again and cursed Surt. The energy of the two sides collided, and the terrifying aftermath spread and swept around. The cruise ship on the sea was shaky, like a lonely boat that was about to be overturned and submerged by the huge waves at any time. King of the Worlds. Watching the two streams of light in the crystal ball collide with each other, even the usually calm old man, Old Kai, could not help but look horrified. This is terrible. If this continues, not only the Earth, but also the seventh universe will be affected. Ah. That. Ancestor, you should take care of yourself first. Safety. God Jebet, with long white hair, purple skin, and a Patora earring, looked at the blown away old Kai and the crystal ball in astonishment. Come down quickly. God Jebet, a fusion of Jebet and King Kai. Sin, hurriedly pursued old Kai who was blown away by the hurricane. Has even the King Kai realm been affected? Old Kai finally came to his senses. He grabbed the crystal ball and hurried to the earth, using both hands and feet to paddle in the air. You idiot, hurry up and use your superpowers. Earth, stratosphere. The battle between Beerus and Surt is still going on. The two chased each other and then faced each other from a distance. Is that enough? Even if you are so serious, you still can't beat me. Beerus looked at Surt coldly and admonished. Who? Sutter did not answer immediately. At this moment, he kept panting. His originally unlimited physical strength was now somewhat weak. Don't you realize that your strength is already declining? Beerus smiled and raised his hands high, gathering destructive energy again. But it's good that you can fight me to this extent. After all, I haven't been able to use such power for a long time. Humph, I know I can't defeat you, but my goal has been achieved. Sutter wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled. I'm afraid you didn't realize it yourself. I forced you to use both hands. Tisk. That's it. I'm going to destroy the earth behind you. Quote. Beerus said, with his hands raised high, the destructive energy was infinitely expanding, and the majestic power seemed to be unstoppable. The purple light shone on Surt's face. The howling hurricane also directly shook the earth behind him. The horrible aftermath shook the cruise ship on the sea. Vegeta protected the unconscious Bulma, looked at Bulma who seemed to be awake, and said with concern. Bulma, are you okay? Is the earth really going to end? Krillin looked up and saw the huge purple energy coming towards the earth. I can't watch it anymore, Chi-Chi, I must let Vital join, I must transform into a Super Saiyan God. Sun Wukong looked at Chi-Chi with a serious face and made a request again. Otherwise, if Searcher can't resist, I'm afraid the earth will be destroyed. Is it too late? Piccolo also frowned and protected Dandy under his cloak. Hey, didn't any of you see me, and I'm about to fall into the sea. Alone. A pig's trotter was tightly grasping the edge of the boat, and both pig's trotters were hanging outside the deck. Bardos and Whis, still standing on the deck, like a rock, unmoved. Is it over? Whis turned his head to look at Bardos, who looked normal, and was a little curious about where Bardos got his support. I think Searcher can withstand this move of Lord Beerus. It's over. Bardos turned his head as if he had sensed something and smiled at Whis. Outside the earth, looking at the destructive energy crushing towards him, Searcher, who was in front of the earth, suddenly raised the corners of his mouth and snorted. It's not over yet. Who said it's over? He placed his hands on his waist, and the aura of his whole body became more and more intense. The descending aura actually showed a trend of rising again. The same terrifying energy gathered between his hands, and the momentum was not even weaker than Beerus. Chi. Gong. Wave. Ha. The azure energy was shot out by Surt, and collided with Beerus' destructive energy. One blue and one purple, clearly separated, pushed each other back and forth, and started a tug of war. Ha! Suter roared continuously, struggling to resist the impact of Beerus' destructive energy. The powerful energy collision and tug of war did not last long. In the end, Surt pushed it back with all his strength. How is this possible? Beerus widened his eyes, looking at the azure light column approaching him in astonishment. Boom! The hurricane was howling, and the space seemed to be as heavy as being shackled. Everything around him was red and white, and no other colors could be seen. What's the result? Everyone on the deck couldn't open their eyes because of the strong light, and they were all anxious. Go over. Bardos smiled at Whis, and the two disappeared on the deck at the same time. Swoosh, swoosh. Appearing in the center of the battlefield, Whis looked at the two people floating opposite each other and said in surprise, Hey, is this a tie? Wow. You can say that. Bardos appeared beside Surt and smiled at Beerus on the opposite side. There was a barely perceptible bright red at the corner of Beerus' mouth. But against his purple skin, it was indeed extremely dazzling, and her Surt was not injured. At most, the divine spirit was a little weak. However, it seemed that Beerus didn't really show much strength in the previous battle. What was said about the two being tied was true. Hee. What an interesting guy. Beerus didn't seem to care about the outcome of this battle. He wiped the corner of his mouth and said to Surt, "Hey, you are a guy who should not be underestimated. Would you like to come to my god's land and be my candidate for the god of destruction?" Oh, that's really strange. Hearing Beerus's intention to recruit, even Whis, who had been following him, was surprised. Hee, how about it? Beerus looked confident. He thought Surt would definitely agree. After all, in Shangpana, Surt was just a cook, but in their seventh universe, Surt was the candidate for the god of destruction. As a part-time cook, the food he made was really delicious. No, my pursuit is to make delicious food. Surt also put his hands on his hips, with a domineering attitude. Besides, I will make delicious food for the person I like. Noticing Surt's gaze towards him, Bardos smiled and said, "Lord Beerus, if you want to invite Surt, you must not only get his consent, but also Lord Shangpa's consent." Tisk. Beerus felt his self-esteem was hurt and changed the subject to the two of them. "Well, the fight has been fought. When will you pay me for the delicious meal you owe me?" Now. Suitor fought so hard that not only did he force Beerus to use both hands, but he also made him bleed. He was in a very good mood at the moment. Of course, the satisfaction after a fierce battle needs to be celebrated with delicious food. The four people fell back to the cruise ship on the sea from outside the Earth. Ah. Did Uncle Surt win? Trunks came to Surt's side without much eyesight and asked happily. "Shut up. No one will think you are dumb if you don't speak." Vegeta saw Beerus's eyes narrowed slightly, with murderous intent about to burst out, and hurried forward to cover Trunks' mouth. "Don't bother with a child." Sutter took out a cigarette and lit it for himself, then picked up the kitchen knife on the chopping board and walked towards the special food provided by the system. Anything delicious. Boo saw this scene and threw away Satan in his arms. "It hurts." Hitting the steel deck, Satan was in so much pain that he could only cry. "It smells so good." Everyone gathered around again, but they cleverly kept enough distance from Beerus and Whis. Even after Souter finished a lot of dishes, everyone sat at two tables. Beerus, Whis and Bardos were at one table, and the rest of the people sat at a long table 5 meters away waiting for the food. "Ha ha ha, Lord Beerus, you seem to have left a bad impression on these earthlings." Whis drank his tea leisurely and gave Beerus a mocking smile. Is that so?" Beerus turned his head to look at the earthlings far away and suddenly sneered. With this grin, the people at the long table retreated 10 meters away again. Oh my god, they were scared to death. The meal ended just like that, and Beerus and Whis left immediately after eating. Bulma had no interest in continuing the party, and announced that it was over. Her 38th birthday was completely ruined. Seeing that Surt and Bardos were also leaving, Sun Wukong, who couldn't wait to become a Super Saiyan god, hurriedly stopped Surt. "Sutter, wait a minute. Oh, I see." After seeing the excitement on Son Goku's face, Sutter understood instantly. After wasting a lot of time, Son Goku and Vegeta officially embarked on the road to God. As for the other Saiyans, it's not that they don't want to transform into Super Saiyan God. But in such a ceremony, because their own strength is not enough, they can only think about it. "So, Sutter, can you compete with me?" Son Goku, who can transform into Super Saiyan God, saw that Sutter was about to leave again, and stopped him again. Kakarot. Vegeta originally wanted to fight with Son Goku. Thanks for watching.